Hey guys, when I was in high school, I was always impressed with how some of my cross country friends were able to run 10 or 15 plus miles without listening to any music. Being able to accomplish such an athletic feat without any music in your ears, to me, was totally surprising. I know for me personally, when I started running, I would bump loud music in my ears the entire run. I was already, upset that I was going running in the first place. So if I was going to force myself to do some miles, I might as well listen to some music. I feel like for me, listening to up tempo and energetic music was a good way for me to pick up the pace for my running and also to hit some of the goal times that I had set for myself. As I began to run more and more, though, I feel like I've started to notice the impact that music can have on my runs on a day to day basis. And I'm at the point now where, recently I was able to do a 15-mile run with no music in my ears. I was able to run it pretty well. So, what made me, kind of come to this switch to begin with? Well, I mean, the quick answer is that my AirPods stopped working, but the answer is a little more complicated than that. So I'll talk about why I stopped listening to music on my runs, some of the things that I've noticed, as well as maybe if this is a good idea for you, and you should try this out yourself. So to start, the first big running race that I had during my journey so far was back in the spring of 2023 or last year. I ran a half marathon. Throughout the whole training, I was listening to music the entire run for all of my runs. I'd crafted this perfect 60 song playlist that would rhythmically drag me through miles that I had no business running. But as I got closer to race day, my running partner at the time, or still my current running partner, Patrick, he had lost his AirPods and was no longer able to run with music. And this is the person that I was supposed to finish the race with come race day. So once he lost his AirPods, we started to share our AirPods with one another. So I would give him mine, and then I would take like the left one, and he would take the right one. But what would continuously happen is during our runs, one of the AirPods would die. So one twin would have a lot of music playing in their ear and be cruising along their run, and the other person would have no music running in their ears. So then they'd kind of hit this wall of no music, and then they'd be kind of left out to dry. Once race day came, I decided not to run with any music in my ears. I decided to just leave my AirPods at home. I feel like the struggle for me to run without music when a minute before I had been running with music was too hard for me to do. So I just decided not to have music at all. And overall, the race went pretty well. I ran the half marathon, which is 13 miles, at a 1:47, an hour and 47 minutes, which for me, where I am right now in my running journey, was great. I was really happy with that time. So it was really nice for me to be able to see myself run a good quality time without music. Though when this fall came around, Pat had gotten a new pair of AirPods. I had, not run in a long time, and I was actually selected for the 2024 Chicago Marathon. So when I had to start running again, I decided to listen and check back in with that 60 song playlist that I had made. Now, I know that it keeps kind of sounding like I'm referring to my music, my playlist as this like, drug that I keep falling back into or relapsing into. It's not that serious. It's just kind of how I ended up writing it. But I ended up listening to music again on my runs. Actually, in the first few videos that I have on this channel, you can see me running with headphones in my ears for most or if not all of my runs. But I feel like I started to notice how much the rhythm or the pace of the music would have on my running performance. It's really hard to get your legs to turn over quickly when you're listening to like an NPR podcast for your speed workout versus listening to Eminem or some drill rap or something, right? And I feel like that was something that I wanted to try to fix. I feel like even on my running playlist, which was all up tempo music, I could definitely notice on my runs significant or noticeable differences in my pace from every song that was changing on my playlist. And that was something that I wanted to change to be able to run at a more consistent pace and not really depend so much on my music. And as the fall went on, my AirPods, they're generation ones, they're pretty old. They would only be able to get like 20 to 30 minutes before one or both of them would die. So it would get to the point where I would get halfway through my run, and then the back half of the run, I would have no music. And, the difference between running with and without music was totally noticeable in my pace and the quality of run that I would have. And I began to I kind of realized that come Chicago, October 13th, when I actually run this race, if my AirPods right now can't last for 20 minutes or 25 minutes, there's no chance that they're going to last for the 4 hours that I'm going to be running this marathon, right? So if I'm not going to be able to use them on race day, why should I be using them now for my training, right? If this is supposed to prepare me for race day. And Also, side note, I know I could just buy a new pair of headphones, wired headphones or AirPods, but it's besides the point. This is a learning experience. So for like the past month and a half, 2 months ago, I know there's still some videos, recent videos of me running with music in my ears, but it's a work in progress right now. I'm still working on it. But for the past month and a half or 2 months or so, I've been running without music in my ears. I feel like I've noticed a couple things about the quality of runs that I've had and my running experience as a whole from not listening to anything in my run. So I'm going to hit on those right now. To start, I feel like now I'm able to run with less distractions. For me, running is a great way for me to release some stress or, clear my head when something's bothering me or I just feel, upset about something, right? And now when I run, I only have the sound of my feet hitting the pavement, my own breathing, and whatever sounds are going on in nature or wherever I'm running, right? I feel like now in my current life, there's never a moment where I'm not listening to something, whether it be music, a podcast, or like TikToks. I feel like my mind and my ears are constantly stimulated with oftentimes just like junk, right? Now I feel like having the opportunity to be able to find some quiet in the world, is really nice for me to have like an hour and a half of quiet outside. I feel like is a really great experience for me. Now I'm able to find, a little peace and quiet during my runs that I wasn't able to find beforehand. What's more is I feel like I'm able to have a little bit better of like internal monologue and better thoughts as a whole. I know some people really think running is a very meditative experience for them. And while I won't say that that's totally true for me, I feel like the thoughts that I've had since turning off my music have been a little better. I will acknowledge that a lot of the thoughts that I have are often garbage. I'm usually thinking about like song lyrics that I wish I was listening to right now. But I do notice that there's definitely times where I've been able to think about a problem that I might have been working on in school or a new idea for something to try out in the future. I feel like I've gotten some new ideas from running that I wouldn't have been able to do just sitting at home, or especially if I was listening to music. I feel like I'm able to have a much better internal dialogue when I'm going out for these runs. My second point is that I feel like I'm able to focus on my workouts more. Now that I'm not focused on the music as much, I'm really able to lock into whatever workout that I am currently doing. I feel like when I have a big hill coming up in my race or my workout, which is often terrifying, I'm able to have good internal like motivation and internal conversations to myself to kind of gas myself up and really focus on climbing that hill. I also feel like I've gotten better at being more in tune with my body in terms of what pace I'm running at. And this could just be something that I'm learning as I get more experience with running, but I feel like I'm definitely being better about running at a specific pace without relying on my running watch, right? And I feel like this kind of goes to talk about being more focused and being more present when I'm doing these runs in the first place. As a whole, I feel like throughout my runs, I'm able to run at a more consistent pace and I feel more in control of my own body. The last thing that I've noticed is that I feel like my ability to internally motivate myself has definitely increased, not only in running, but in other subjects in my life. Now, at risk of getting into like David Goggins territory, I do feel like my ability to, really motivate myself and pump myself up from within has really improved. And I'm no longer relying on whatever song comes up next on my playlist or my queue, right? I know Goggins has a line talking about what happens when the music stops, who's going to be there to motivate you, which is a really deep and hard hitting line. And I definitely think there's some truth to it. I feel like now I've been able to develop a system of internal talk and speech to kind of jack myself up and keep pushing through something, even when I feel like I have almost nothing or nothing left in the tank. It helps prove to me that I can do hard things in my life independently without having to rely on Eminem drilling in my ear for every mile that I do. So, to conclude, I know that running without music has become a somewhat trendy topic within the world of running. I think that some people take this whole subject as a whole, make it a little more deep than it actually is. For me, it started off mainly because my AirPods stopped working, and from there, it's turned into something that I've actually enjoyed. I haven't turned into a huge meditation guy. I know that many people find running to be extremely meditative, and while I do feel like this meditative state that I'm in has definitely improved from running, it's definitely not. I haven't reached a higher level of conscious from running. It does help me think of like better ideas though, kind of like shower thoughts that you have. I also have not turned into this serious running hardo all of a sudden. If you listen to music when you go for runs, there's nothing wrong with that. More power to you. For me, I feel like I've been happy with the progress that I've been able to make with my running journey without music. And I feel like now returning back to music would be another crux for me to lean on. If your running headphones stop working all of a sudden, maybe take a week before buying a new pair. Maybe go for a couple of easy runs to see how you feel. You might even find that you kind of like it. And hey, you would be saving yourself a couple $100 along the way too. All right, that's all I have to say. Thanks, guys. All right, there you go.